There are four players who I think could lead Syracuse basketball in scoring next season.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here in the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And on today's show, we are going over the candidates to lead Syracuse basketball in scoring, from the favorite to possible sleepers, and who's probably not going to lead the team in scoring but deserves a mention. So we're going to go over the leading scorers for Syracuse basketball next season here on today's podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. There are four players, in my opinion, who could lead Syracuse basketball in scoring next season. JJ Starling, Chris Bell, Donnie Freeman, and Eddie Lampkin. Those are the four most likely candidates, in my opinion, and drop a comment below who you think is going to lead Syracuse basketball in scoring next season. I don't think there is a Judah Mintz caliber favorite. I believe last season, most people predicted that Judah Mintz would lead the team in scoring, and he did by about 5 points per game. He averaged about 18, 19 last year. But Judah Mintz is gone, and when you look at the roster now, I think it's deeper, but it doesn't quite have the front-end scorer like Judah Mintz. That's why I think there are four players who I think could lead the team in scoring next season. Let's start off with the favorite, and I think it's got to be JJ Starling. JJ Starling has got to be the favorite to lead the team in scoring next season. He is a 6'3" shooting guard entering his junior year. He started all 32 games for Syracuse last season after he transferred from Notre Dame as a five-star freshman. Last season, he was second on the team in scoring with about 13 points per game. He shot over 45% from the field and 32% from three. However, his numbers went way up in the second half of the season compared to the first half, which is why I believe he's ultimately going to lead the team in scoring this season. In the first half of last year, JJ Starling averaged about 11 points per game, which is not bad, right? 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 43% from the field, but only 24% from three-point range, which is not good. That was the first half of JJ Starling's season, okay? He struggled. In the second half, that's when he really turned it on. He averaged 16 points per game. He was 48% from the field overall and 36% from deep. So his three-point percentage went up 12 points in the second half of the season. And there were reasons why I believe he struggled in the first half. For starters, he was coming off an injury. He had shoulder surgery. That's obviously going to impact your jump shot, and it takes a while to be able to recover, especially from a shoulder injury. So that might be the explanation as to why he struggled so much from three-point range in the first half of last season. But then obviously he turned it on because he started recovering from that injury. The second possible explanation for it, and why I think it really ultimately is a combination between the two, is the fact that he's adjusting to a new environment. Some players, they can fit in seamlessly right away. A guy like Dalton Knecht for Tennessee last year, it was his first year with Tennessee, and he just went off, right? Sometimes it's perfect situation, the right time, and the player steps in immediately and even gets better. With JJ Starling, it took a little bit of time. It's an adjustment to a new system. He was playing with a very ball-dominant point guard in Judah Mintz. It's not a shade on Judah Mintz, but that's just the type of player he is. So it was an adjustment that JJ Starling had to make, and he got better as the season went on. I think he's going to continue that. He should be the favorite to lead the team in scoring next season because, A, he's not recovering from an injury, right? That's in the past. The shoulder injury is in the past, right? He's not recovering from it. Therefore, he can hop into next season about as close as you can get to 100% healthy, if not actually 100% healthy. So that's good. He's already healthy. Number two, Again, less adjustment to a new life. This is his second year at Syracuse, his third year in college, his second year with Adrian Autry. So there's less of adjustment that he's going to have to make in his game. The third reason is because, well, Judah Mintz is not going to be his point guard next year. He's not. Again, Judah Mintz, he actually was among the leaders in assists per game last season, but he's a ball-dominant guard. All right, he's someone who's going to have the ball in his hands a lot, and for good reason. He was the best player on the team last year. But JJ Starling's point guard next year, if it's not himself, in which case he's probably not going to lead the team in scoring if he's the starting point guard. His point guard next year is probably going to be Jaquan Carlos, who led his conference in assists per game and is an elite passer. Chance Westry is coming back. Hopefully he's healthy. Known for being a really good distributor. He can get him the ball on the wing. And you also have Eddie Lampkin, a new starting center, who is an excellent distributor in his own right, who can swing it out from the post to JJ Starling and hopefully get him open jumpers. So overall, I think JJ Starling should be the favorite to lead the team in scoring next season. And I think he ultimately will cash that in and lead Syracuse in scoring next year. Last year, he averaged 13 points per game. I would say his numbers are going to tick more towards what he did in the second half of last season. So I think it's fair to assume that JJ Starling next year will average 15 points per game, maybe on the lower end, 18 points per game, possibly on the higher end. I do think he has that type of upside, especially because if he keeps up those percentages from last year in the second half, 48% from the field, 36% from three-point land, he could hit 18 points per game. So if you're looking at the range between 15 and 18 points a game, I think he is going to lead the team in scoring next season. Having said that, there are many players that could possibly lead it. And by many, I mean 4. So coming up, we're going to talk about a couple of sleepers who, in my opinion, have an outside chance, maybe more of an outside chance, of leading the team in scoring next year. It's one thing to watch baseball on TV. That at times can get pretty boring. But going to a game in person is an awesome experience, and I'm looking forward to watching the Mets for the rest of the summer. They're in the playoff hunt right now. The way I'll watch them in person is by using Gametime. Gametime is an authorized ticket marketplace in Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. All you have to do is go to Gametime and search the team you want to see of your choosing. It can be MLB or any league for that matter, and ticket options will appear right away. My favorite part is the all-in pricing feature. Toggling this feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the streaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Welcome back, everyone. In the Locked On Syracuse, I'm Jackson Holzer. On today's show, we are going over the 4 main contenders to lead Syracuse basketball in scoring next season. We went over why JJ Starling should be the favorite. And now let's get into a couple of sleepers, guys who I think have maybe a little bit more of an outside chance to lead Syracuse in scoring next year. Let's start off talking about Donnie Freeman, shall we? Donnie Freeman is a sleeper to lead Syracuse basketball in scoring next year. He is a consensus top 15 prospect, 5-star recruit overall across every single service out there. And he is ranked as high as the 6th overall player in the country on On3 and ESPN. So this guy is highly touted, okay? He is the highest ranked Syracuse recruit since Carmelo Anthony in 2002. It's been over 2 decades since Syracuse has had someone better than Donnie Freeman step into their doors from high school. That's how good Donnie Freeman is. He is known for being a 3-level scorer, at least at the high school level. That means he can score in the paint, he can score from the mid-range, and he can score from three-point land, which was demonstrated in the All-American game when he hit 2 3-pointers. And he's a 6'9" forward. 3-level scorer at 6'9". I know he's a freshman, 18 years old. It's not easy, but at the same time, last year he shot 53% in high school, which was top 10 in the league. He averaged over 15 points per game, which was also top 10 in the league. Donnie Freeman is an elite scorer in high school. Now, I get it's high school, and he's going to be a true freshman, but at the same time, number 6 overall player in the country. And by the way, he projects to be the starting power forward. So I think he's going to get the playing time. Now, I think you guys might be asking the question, when was the last time a Syracuse freshman led the team in scoring? And I looked it up. I got the answer for you. It's been a while. Okay, it's been a while. Not quite 2 decades, but kind of close. The last Syracuse freshman to lead the team in scoring is Dante Green in 2007-2008. He averaged about 18 points per game. He was a one-and-done player and was drafted in the first round of the NBA draft. That is the last time a Syracuse freshman has led the team in scoring. And by the way, Dante Green was just inside the top 20 when he was coming out of high school into Syracuse. Judah Mintz was actually super close to doing it as well. Like super duper close. He came within about 1/10 of a point per game behind Joe Girard for leading the team in scoring just a couple years ago. But he didn't do it. So the last freshman to lead Syracuse in scoring is Dante Green. Maybe I'm being unfair to Donnie Freeman suggesting he can lead the team in scoring. But here's the reality. He is the second best high schooler entering the ACC. The second best in the conference. You want to know who's number 1? It just happens to be Cooper Flagg at Duke, the number 1 overall player in the country. That's it. That is the only freshman in the ACC that is ranked higher than Donnie Freeman. Donnie Freeman should, at minimum, be in contention for ACC Rookie of the Year or ACC Freshman of the Year, whatever they call it these days. And he has a chance to lead Syracuse in scoring. I think a fair expectation is at least 10 points per game, and 10 points per game wouldn't be enough, but he can maybe tick towards 12 to 13, maybe 14, 15 in that range. Perhaps he can lead Syracuse in scoring next season because he does have that capability to do it as a 3-level scorer. Now, Chris Bell is another player who has a maybe more than an outside chance of leading Syracuse in scoring next season. He's entering his 3rd year on the Hill. Last year, he was 3rd on the team in scoring with 12 points per game, which is pretty good. He was second in the ACC in 3-point percentage at 42%. Think about that for a second. 42% from 3, second in the conference. He is not a complete scorer like a JJ Starling or what Donnie Freeman is being built up to be. But he does have one thing those guys don't, and that is the ability to shoot the basketball at an extremely high level. Not just a average level, a good level, an extremely high level. So I believe there is a chance that Chris Bell can lead this team in scoring because he has that capability to go completely bonkers. Remember last season when he hit 8 3-pointers in 1 half? That came, I believe, on the road against NC State. Remember that? He has that capability. Last year, he hit at least 3 3-pointers in a game, which if you hit 3 3-pointers, that's already 9 points. He did that in about half the games that Syracuse was in. About half. It was slightly less. I believe 15 out of 32 possible games. He hit at least 3-pointers. That's a lot of points, right? And there were some games he hit 4. Some games he hit 5. A couple times he hit 8 3-pointers in a game. So if he has a few more spike games, maybe a few more games where he hits at least 3 triples, he could very well lead the team in scoring. And he's not really a complete scorer. but because he can shoot the ball at such an elite level, there's a possibility he can do it. He's not even going to have the most shots on the team next season. I would be surprised if Chris Bell had the most shot attempts on the team. But because of his ability to shoot, there is a chance he could lead the team in scoring next year. Now, coming up, there's one player in particular who I think maybe really it's just a way outside chance he can lead the team in scoring. And then there are a couple players who are good, maybe deserve a little bit of mention, but they're not going to lead the team in scoring. So we're going to get to those options coming up. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Day is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Welcome back, everyone, into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and on today's show, we are going over the main contenders to lead Syracuse basketball in scoring next season. In the first segment, we went over JJ Starling and why he should be the favorite to lead the team, although he might not lead the team in scoring next season. Then we talked about some sleepers. Donnie Freeman, even though he's a freshman and it hasn't been done since 2008 at Syracuse, he's the second best freshman in the ACC, at least ranking-wise, heading into next year. So I would say there's a decent chance he could lead the team in scoring. And then we also talked about Chris Bell. And even though Chris Bell might not lead the team in shots taken per game, because of his ability to shoot at a high level, maybe, just maybe, he leads the team in scoring. It's possible. He's not a complete scorer, but because of his ability to shoot, there's a chance he can do it. Now, there are some players here I want to mention, mainly one in particular that, yeah, they can maybe average double digits, but I don't think they're going to lead the team in scoring. I think it would be incredibly unlikely. Let's go over Eddie Lampkin, the 6'11" center from Colorado. Last year, he averaged 10 points per game and 7 rebounds per game, and he was a 4-star transfer this offseason heading to Syracuse. I project that he is going to be the starting center for the Orange, probably playing between 25 and 30 minutes a game. That's what he did at Colorado. And then you have Naheem McLeod as the backup, playing 10 to 15, so the minutes match up there. He's a very good passer as well. Very, very good passer. You can honestly run an offense through Eddie Lampkin in the high post. You can do it. You can easily do it because he's one of the best passing big men in the country. He's also solid in the post, as I mentioned, and a good rebounder, particularly on the offensive end, which helps scoring because you can't score getting defensive rebounds. You score getting offensive rebounds, right? Logic. His weaknesses, outside shooting, right? Can't shoot three-pointers, and defense. But defense being a weakness does not impact his ability to lead the team in scoring or not. We're talking about who's leading the team in scoring, not who's going to be an ACC defender or all ACC defender. Okay, so the fact that he's weak on defense, not a big deal when it comes to this topic. I don't think Eddie Lampkin is going to get the shot attempts that are required to lead the team in scoring because he can't shoot the three ball. So if he gets 8 to 10 field goal attempts per game and he hits maybe 60%, you're at 12. I don't see him getting that many shot attempts. I just don't. He's best used as a passer. I think he can be really solid on the glass, and he's going to chip in offensively. I think it's fair to assume that his range for next year is between 8 and 12 points per game. That's his range. But that is not a high enough floor ceiling combination like the other guys to realistically lead the team in scoring. You're not going to have someone on this team lead the team in scoring with 12 points per game. It's just not going to happen. JJ Starling, as I mentioned, I think his floor is 15. His high is 18. I think he can be anywhere in that range. Donnie Freeman, I could say maybe anywhere between 10 and 18. Honestly, he has an incredibly high ceiling, but also maybe a lower floor than what a JJ Starling would have. Kind of similar with Chris Bell, where his ceiling is incredibly high, but his floor is not quite the floor of JJ Starling. With Eddie Lampkin, I think his floor is lower, probably 8 points per game, and his ceiling is 12 points per game. I just don't see that being high enough to actually lead the team in scoring next year. He's a good player, deserves mention because he averaged 10 points last year at Colorado, but I just don't think he's going to lead the team in scoring. But it's not a big deal if he doesn't. Other players to mention, guys like Jaquan Carlos and Chance Westry. Jaquan Carlos last year averaged 10 points per game. Chance Westry is a highly touted player who was a big-time recruit. He was injured at Auburn. Then he transfers over to Syracuse last year, gets hurt before the season starts. We're hoping that he's healthy, and he's really an X factor on this team for next season. But Chance Westry, the reason why I kind of group him in with Jaquan Carlos is because Chance Westry is a really good distributor, and that's probably what he's best at this point. So Jaquan Carlos and Chance Westry, while they have the capability to average 10 points if they get the shot attempts and if they get the minutes, I don't think they have a high enough ceiling to actually lead the team in scoring because they might be better used in other facets like distributing the basketball. So I don't think they can realistically lead the team in scoring. Elijah Moore, a 4-star high school prospect, known for being a prolific shooter. So he can certainly shoot the 3-ball, which is nice. I don't think he's going to get the playing time. You need playing time. And I just don't see it happening with Elijah Moore. I think best case scenario, he plays about 20 minutes a game coming off the bench, which is not enough to lead the team in scoring. You have Lucas Taylor. He's more of a veteran. He's a veteran, a transfer from Georgia State. Last year, Lucas Taylor led Georgia State in scoring. But I don't think he's going to do it at Syracuse. I don't think he's going to get the playing time required to do it. Again, a good depth guard option, but not someone who I'd realistically peg in as someone who can lead the team. Then there's Jair Davis. I think that Jair Davis will get at least close to the playing time that's required, but I don't think he's going to get the shot attempts. He's someone who can definitely create his own shot, which is nice. He's a good mid-range scorer. He's a good free throw shooter. What also hurts him is the fact that he can't really shoot the 3-ball well, under 30% in his college career from 3. So I don't think that Jair Davis could lead the team in scoring. It's possible he can average 10 points per game off the bench. Even if you start him, he can average 10 points per game. I just don't think he's going to get the shot attempts, nor do I think he has the 3-point efficiency to actually lead Syracuse in scoring. So I think that covers it for the guys who are probably not. I mean, yeah, Naheem McLeod, but again, Naheem McLeod's not going to get the playing time nor the shot attempts. Kyle Cuff, not going to get the playing time or the shot attempts. I can go through everyone on the roster here, but there are only a certain amount of guys that could realistically lead this team in scoring next year. Once again, JJ Starling is my pick to lead the team in scoring. I think he should definitely be the favorite due to the fact that he's not recovering from shoulder surgery. It's his second year on the hill, so less of an adjustment. And his point guard next year, unless it's himself, is not going to be a ball-dominant guard. It's going to be someone who's more of a distributor, like a Chance Westry or a Jaquan Carlos. So that's going to help him. Donnie Freeman and Chris Bell both have really high ceilings, but they don't quite have the floor, in my opinion, to score like a JJ Starling. And the main guy who deserves a mention is Eddie Lampkin for probably not, but maybe if he just grows tremendously in one summer. But I just don't see it. Last year, he averaged 10 points and 7 rebounds per game in Colorado. That about covers it. The 4 main contenders to lead Syracuse basketball in scoring next season. And leave a comment below. Once again, who do you think is going to leave or who is going to lead Syracuse basketball in scoring next year? And am I being unfair to suggest that Donnie Freeman could lead the team in scoring? Am I being unfair? Is that unreasonable expectations? Leave a comment below. Tomorrow is Poll Friday. So, having said that, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this video, click that like button. And if you really liked it, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications so you know right away when I am dropping the next podcast. Once again, Poll Friday tomorrow at 6 p.m. That's when I'll be back. Everyone, take care.